This is for those of you who have felt it. Not just thought it, but felt it deep in your bones. That sudden, electrifying click when a piece of the universe finally makes sense. It's a moment so profound it feels like you've been given a secret key, a key that unlocks everything. You see the world through new eyes, and the old patterns of confusion and pain suddenly seem so distant. In that moment of pure clarity and overwhelming, almost primal urge takes over. You have to tell someone. You want to grab the people you love by the shoulders and say, "Don't you see? It's so simple." You want to broadcast your discovery, to share the map you've just found. But I'm here to offer you a piece of ancient, counterintuitive advice, one that will feel wrong at first, but will ultimately be the thing that protects your growth. When you discover a profound truth, seal your lips. This isn't about hiding. It's not about being secretive or superior. It's about understanding the nature of creation. A profound insight is like a photograph developing in a dark room. If you expose it to the light too soon, the image is destroyed. It needs the quiet, the darkness, the protected space to become fully formed. Your new awareness is fragile. It's a tiny flame in a storm, and the world is full of wind. The wind of doubt, the wind of misunderstanding, the wind of people who are not ready to see what you see. What we rarely admit is that this desperate urge to share is often the ego in disguise. It's the shallow part of you that craves applause, the part that wants a trophy for a race you've only just begun. We want to be seen as the one who gets it. But true wisdom doesn't need an audience. It needs a practitioner. It's tested and strengthened not in conversation, but in your daily choices, in the silence when no one is watching. The path of awakening is often a lonely one. You will outgrow conversations that once fascinated you. You will find beauty in stillness that others find boring. You will walk away from drama that others thrive on. And in that separation, a powerful ache for connection will arise, tempting you to explain yourself, to justify your new path, to prove your transformation is real. But this is where the real work begins. Silence is your crucible. In that quiet space, you are not performing for anyone. You are simply allowing the truth to integrate, to move from your head to your heart, to your hands and feet. The strength of your breakthrough isn't measured by how eloquently you describe it. It's measured by how completely you embody it. So you seal your lips not because others are unworthy, but because your new understanding is still a sacred blueprint, not yet a fortress. And a blueprint must be protected from the elements until the foundation is laid. One day, you will look back and understand how much energy is wasted trying to explain what should simply be lived. You'll realize that not everyone has earned a front row seat to your inner world, not because they are bad people, but because they are on a different part of the journey. To give them the coordinates to your destination when they haven't even started their own climb is pointless. They don't yet have the gear for that altitude. Your job is not to drag them up the mountain with your words. Your job is to climb. And the most profound climbing is done in silence. It's in the moment you choose discipline over distraction, peace over provocation, reflection over reaction. These are the moments that build an unshakable core. Not the moments you speak, but the moments you become. So when that next aha moment strikes, when that new reality dawns on you, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this for them to hear, or is this for me to become? Almost always, the answer is the latter. Give yourself the gift of incubation. Let this truth change you completely before you even think about it changing anyone else. Because when it's real, when it's woven into the very fabric of your being, you won't have to say a word. Your calm will be the explanation. Your choices will be the sermon. Your presence, your gravity, your quiet, unshakable peace, that will be the message. That's how you stop leaking your power. That's how you become a force of nature. You stop narrating the story of your growth, and you simply live it as if the ink is already dry. That is the secret. Once you truly know it, you learn to guard your tongue, There's a subtle physics to personal growth that is rarely taught because it can't be learned from a book. It has to be experienced. And the law is this: wisdom spoken before it is embodied is wisdom lost. Not because the truth itself is weak, but because your connection to it is still new, still forming. The first touch of a major insight is like grabbing a live wire. It's a jolt. Chaos crystallizes into order. Pain finds its purpose. The puzzle pieces of your life snap into place. The desire to share this feeling is immense. But here is the discipline that separates the dabbler from the master. Not everything is meant for immediate translation into words. A new truth is a fire. If your hands aren't strong enough to carry it, you will burn yourself and those you try to give it to. That first flash of realization is not the destination. It is the starting line of a much deeper, quieter practice. To speak of it prematurely is like trying to pour a powerful potion into a cracked vessel. It all leaks out. The magic is gone. You see, your words are not just sounds, they are vehicles of energy, and they come with responsibility. When you describe a state you have not yet fully stabilized in your own life, you're like a cartographer drawing a map of a territory you've only glimpsed from a distance. The details will be wrong. The dangers will be misplaced. Anyone who tries to follow that map will get lost, and you will have led them astray. The discipline of silence, then, is a form of self-love. It's a protection you grant yourself, giving your mind, body, and soul the time to align with this new, higher frequency. It's a shield for the truth itself, allowing it to burrow deep into your character, your reflexes, your very essence. Until your actions consistently reflect your insight, it is not yet a truth, it is just a beautiful idea. And ideas are fragile. They can be shattered by the slightest hint of external doubt. When you offer a profound insight to someone who isn't asking for it, it may feel generous, but it is actually a profound risk to your own journey. You are placing something precious and hard, one into the hands of someone who cannot feel its weight. They will question it, belittle it, or dismiss it with a cynical laugh. And if your roots in this new truth are not yet deep, their rejection will become a poison. It can make you second guess yourself, unraveling what was once a moment of perfect, unshakable clarity. In this way, ego often masquerades as a desire to help. I have to share this with them, it insists. But the truly wise don't rush to the podium. They let their life become the lecture. True mastery is never loud. A fruit tree doesn't shout, "Look, I have an apple!" It simply stands, silent and strong, and those who are hungry for that fruit will eventually find their way to its shade. In the same way, your transformation will become undeniable over time. In how you handle pressure, in how you listen, in the peace you carry into chaotic rooms. This quiet embodiment will communicate more than 1,000 speeches ever could. It's also crucial to understand this. Some people are deeply invested in their own stagnation. Your growth is a mirror that reflects what they are not doing, and it makes them uncomfortable. So when you speak of your new clarity, they will try to pull you back into the fog with them. Not always from a place of malice, but from a place of fear. Your freedom reminds them of their own cage. So they will challenge you, not because they think you are wrong, but because they desperately need you to be. And if your foundation is not yet solid rock, their pushing will make you tremble. This is why silence must be your first response. Not a permanent vow, but a temporary, sacred space where your truth can solidify into unshakable conviction. You speak only when your words no longer need anyone's agreement to be true for you. You share only when your inner state can no longer be shaken by another's disbelief. At that point, you are no longer trying to win an argument. You are simply stating what is. There's one more layer. When you hold your insights in, you force them to work on you. They start to metabolize, reshaping your behavior from the inside out. You wake up differently. You walk away from arguments more easily. You listen with more presence. These are the quiet markers of real change. They don't make a big announcement, but they are impossible to ignore. The people closest to you will feel it. They might not be able to name it, but they'll sense the shift. A new weight, a new calm, a new center of gravity. That is the unmistakable energy of a person who has found something real and held it long enough to become it. So the next time you uncover something that changes everything, resist the instinct to explain. Let your stillness be its container. Let your silence be its nourishment. Let your actions be its expression. And in time, when the seed has become a mighty tree, you will find that you don't need to speak at all. People will come to you, not for your theories, but for your presence. And when you do choose to speak, they will hang on every word, not because you are loud, but because your silence has already earned their respect. That is real power, to know something so deeply that you also know when to say nothing at all. There is a painful, liberating realization on the path of growth. Not everyone is meant to travel with you to the next destination. Not everyone is ready for the truths you fought to uncover. Not everyone has the capacity to hold the wisdom that your soul has been given. When clarity dawns, it feels like a universal gift. But the great mistake is to assume it will be received as one. It won't, especially by those who haven't asked for it, especially by those who are still comfortable living in the very illusion that this truth helped you escape. By its very nature, a breakthrough is disruptive. It shatters old beliefs. It illuminates the dark corners we'd rather ignore. It demands change, and most people fear change more than they desire truth. So when you arrive with your truth to those who are not ready, it will not be welcomed as a gift. It will be fought like a threat. Imagine you've just escaped a dark cave and stepped into the sunlight for the first time. Your eyes have adjusted. You see a world of vibrant color. You feel the warmth. Overjoyed, you run back into the cave to tell everyone still huddled inside. You switch on a powerful flashlight, believing you are sharing the light. But to them, whose eyes are accustomed to the dim, you are not a savior, you are an aggressor. Your light is blinding, painful. It doesn't illuminate, it hurts. In life, the right truth at the wrong time is a form of cruelty. This is why true wisdom is inseparable from patience. When you understand something transformative, your first duty is not to go out and convert the world. Your first duty is to deeply integrate that truth into your own being. Let your life become the evidence. Because if someone isn't already looking for a way out of their own cave, your words about the sun will just sound like madness. This becomes especially agonizing when the people you love most are the ones who choose to stay in the dark. You want to save them. You want to give them your map. You want them to experience the freedom you've found. But you can't. Transformation is an inside job. It must be chosen, moment by moment. It must be earned. A butterfly cannot explain flight to a caterpillar. It can only demonstrate it. Trying to share your deepest insights with the wrong person is like trying to plant a redwood tree in a teacup. No matter how magnificent the seed, it cannot grow without soil. And if you keep trying to force it, you will only exhaust yourself and end up feeling profoundly misunderstood, alone, and even foolish. The pain you feel in that moment isn't because your truth was false. It's because you gave a sacred key to someone who has no interest in unlocking their own door. There is also a subtle arrogance in the belief that it is your mission to awaken others. It isn't. The journey of awakening is fiercely personal. No matter how beautiful your words, no matter how pure your intention, they cannot land where there is no opening. You might want to shake people and show them a better way, but until they are ready to listen with their soul, not just their ears, your words will be deflected, distorted, or even used against you. This is why silence becomes the ally of the wise. When you choose to be silent, you are not abandoning the truth, you are honoring its power. You are saying, this is sacred. This is not for debate. This is not casual conversation. This is a key to a new reality, and I will not cheapen it by forcing it on someone who prefers their current prison. Let your example be the only sermon you give. Let the peace in your eyes create a question in theirs. Let your stability in a crisis disturb their chaos, not by what you say, but by what you are. People don't follow arguments, they follow energy. If you truly embody a powerful truth, it will change everything about you, your posture, your voice, your priorities. Others will feel this shift. They may be silent at first, but when the time is right, when their own pain becomes unbearable, they will come to you. And when someone asks from a place of genuine curiosity, then and only then is the door open. This is how real change spreads, not by force, but by resonance. You live your truth so completely, so silently, that it radiates from you. It becomes a magnetic field. Those who are ready to rise will feel its pull, and they will approach not to argue, but to learn. Until then, guard your treasure. Hold it in the sanctuary of your own heart. Let it grow you before you try to grow anyone else. The world may not be ready for you, but you must be ready for you. Because if you try to convince others before your own roots are deep, you risk being pulled right back into the very confusion you fought so hard to escape. And that is the quiet tragedy of sharing your light too soon. Your truth may be brilliant, but if it's still new, the wrong environment will extinguish it. So hold it close. Let your silence build your strength, and trust that when they're ready, they will see your light without you having to say a word. There is a vast difference between being loud and being powerful. Loudness is an attempt to be heard. Power is the quiet confidence of knowing you already are. This is the distinction that many on a path of growth miss. They mistake expression for progress. They believe mastery is demonstrated through articulate explanations and winning debates. But true power, the kind that reshapes a person from the inside out, is almost always silent. It is composed. It has nothing to prove. It doesn't need to announce its presence, because its very stillness is a statement. When you encounter someone who has genuinely walked through fire, faced their own demons, wrestled with their ego, and emerged with wisdom, you will notice a quiet authority about them. They don't interrupt. They listen with an unnerving presence. Their words, when they come, are few but land with incredible weight. This isn't weakness. This is restraint. And restraint is the hallmark of someone who has immense power, but has chosen to master it rather than display it. We live in a world that screams for attention. Social media, meetings, even our personal relationships have become a stage for constant performance. Everyone is talking, broadcasting, signaling. Very few are truly integrating. In the midst of all this noise, the ones who hold real power are the quiet ones. The ones who understand that some transformations are too sacred for casual conversation, that inner breakthroughs aren't trophies for a shelf. They are fires that must be tended to in private. Restraint is not passivity. It is a highly active, disciplined state. It means you have trained yourself to override the knee-jerk impulse to react, to correct, to defend, to interject. It means you can let someone be wrong without your ego needing to jump in and fix it. That's not being a doormat. That's clarity. The moment you feel the desperate need to prove a point, you have handed your emotional state over to someone else. And that is the opposite of power. It's insecurity wearing a confident mask. There is a profound discipline in holding your truth inside you, in letting it marinate in your soul until it becomes you. Some things are meant to be lived into, not talked about. When you have a life-altering realization, the novice instinct is to shout it from the rooftops. But wisdom is a practice, not a performance. It has to be digested, embodied, and made real through your actions first. Think of a master chess player. The most formidable opponent is not the one who brags about their strategy. It's the one who sits in calm, intense silence, seeing 10 moves ahead, but only making one. Why? Because they don't need to flex. They have internalized the game. Their restraint is not a forced effort. It's the natural state of their mastery, born from thousands of hours of quiet discipline and humbling losses. They understand that true power is not what you show, but what you choose to hold back. The exact same principle applies to inner work. The more you truly know, the less you need to say. The deeper your peace, the less you are drawn to arguments. You stop needing to win. You stop needing applause. You let people underestimate you, misread you, even dismiss you, because you have reached a state where your inner reality no longer requires external validation. That is unshakable power, silent, anchored, sovereign. But restraint doesn't just protect your power, it intensifies it. Every time you choose silence when it would be easier to speak, every time you choose presence when the world demands performance, you are conditioning your spirit. You become more aligned, more potent. Instead of broadcasting your energy outward, trying to convince others, you channel it inward to refine yourself. And with each act of conscious restraint, your perception sharpens. You begin to see with stunning clarity who deserves your energy and who is a black hole for it, who is ready for truth and who is hiding from it, what is essential and what is just noise. This clarity becomes your new operating system. It guides your choices based on wisdom, not on emotional triggers. You stop reacting to the world and start responding from a place of deep inner knowing. That is the heart of transformation. When your life is no longer a series of reactions, but a deliberate, quiet expression of your deepest truth. In the ancient wisdom traditions, restraint was the ultimate sign of inner maturity. It meant you had found a peace so profound that it was no longer up for negotiation. You didn't allow external circumstances or other people's opinions to hijack your inner state. And the most incredible thing about reaching that state is this: other people feel it. They may not understand it. It may even intimidate them, but they feel your gravity. And over time, they start to treat you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because your quiet power commanded it. They become curious about what you know that they don't. And when they finally, genuinely ask, you'll know they're ready. You won't have to convince them of anything. You'll simply speak, and your words will have the force of a tidal wave, because you waited, because you respected the truth enough to protect it, and because you didn't waste an ounce of your power on display. That is how you walk in the world with quiet mastery. That is knowing the secret and having the strength to keep your mouth shut. There comes a point in every authentic journey where the most powerful move you can make is to be silent. Not because you are empty, but because you have finally understood that silence is a language in itself. And when used with wisdom, it communicates with more force than any argument, any defense, any explanation. Silence is not the absence of power, it is the throne room of mastery. In the beginning stages of growth, we are compelled to narrate our journey. We want to share every insight, every feeling, every revelation. We are an overflowing cup, desperate to pour ourselves into any available vessel. But with experience, we see that not everyone is capable of holding what we offer. Not everyone is ready to taste something that we have spent years brewing. And more importantly, we realize that not every space is worthy of our sacred energy. That is when silence graduates from a passive state to an active choice. A choice made from discernment, not from fear. In silence, you finally meet yourself. You are forced to confront your own motives. Are you speaking to truly help, or are you speaking because you need to be validated? Do you want to be right, or are you willing to be quiet to protect your peace? Silence forces an honesty that speech allows us to evade. When you strip away the noise of justification and performance, all that remains is the unfiltered truth of your own being. And learning to sit with that truth, without the distraction of an audience, is where the deepest transformation occurs. There is an ancient power in stillness. The world scrambles, shouts, reacts, and performs, but you learn not to. You watch, you listen, you feel. You learn to read the energy behind the words. You start to notice the patterns, the masks, the unspoken needs that most people miss in their rush to speak. In silence, your perception becomes razor sharp. You become sensitive to the subtle currents of life. This isn't magic, it's awareness forged in the quiet. Think of a master surgeon. Their power is not in their speed, but in their precision, in their calm, steady hand. They are focused, grounded, and silent. And when they make a cut, it is not a guess, it is a decisive act born from deep knowledge and preparation. The same principle applies to navigating life. When you have mastered the art of silence, you no longer speak to fill a void. You speak when you have something of true value to contribute. And when you choose not to speak, it is a conscious act of immense power, not a sign of weakness. In your relationships, silence can be a far greater gift than advice. Sometimes, people don't need you to fix their problems. They just need your calm, non-judgmental presence. They don't need your voice, they need a quiet space to hear their own. When you stop rushing in with solutions, you give them the dignity of their own process. That kind of silence is a profound act of love. It says, I trust you to find your own way, just as I found mine. And when it comes to your own pain, silence is a sanctuary. You do not need to broadcast your struggles for them to be real. You do not need to narrate your healing for it to be valid. The most profound healing often happens in the dark, in the quiet, when you sit with yourself without any external opinions and simply allow yourself to be, to feel, to accept. That is where the shattered pieces of you begin to find their way back together. Not because you forced them, but because you finally gave them the quiet space to realign. Silence also acts as a guardian for your future. The more you talk about your dreams and goals, the more you expose them to the toxic energies of envy, doubt, and criticism. There is incredible power in moving quietly, in building your empire without an announcement, in evolving without an explanation. Let your success be the only statement you make. Let your peace be the only proof required. When you hold your intentions close to your heart, they gather strength. They are no longer fueled by the flimsy energy of applause, but by the deep, unshakable power of purpose. And finally, silence is the ultimate teacher of patience. The world will constantly try to provoke a reaction from you. People will test your boundaries. Life will throw chaos at you that seems to demand an immediate response. But in silence, you learn to wait, to observe, to respond from a place of centered strength, not raw emotion. This doesn't mean you become a passive observer of your own life. It means your actions, when you take them, are intentional, precise, and devastatingly effective. Your words, when they finally come, land with the weight of all the silence that came before them. This is the secret so many miss. They think power is loud. They think wisdom needs a megaphone. They think truth must be shouted to be heard. But those who have truly arrived know better. They know that silence is not empty. It is full. It is full of your strength, your depth, your hard-won clarity. It is your boundary, your meditation, your power. So once you know something, truly, deeply know it. Resist the urge to prove it. Instead, let it live inside you. Let it guide you. Let it reshape you. Because the world doesn't need another voice in the noise. It needs more people who have the courage to be silent until their voice actually matters. And when it does, they won't speak to be seen. They will speak to change the room. Until then, let your silence be your master. The final destination of growth is not paved with explanations. It is a quiet, internal state forged in stillness and walked in solitude. Once you have truly understood this, once you have felt the immense, anchoring power of silence, the need to convince anyone of anything simply falls away. The chase for external validation, which once consumed so much of your energy, becomes irrelevant. You stop fighting battles your soul has long since outgrown. You simply are. And this state of being is built in the moments no one sees. It's built in the early morning stillness when you are alone with your thoughts. It's built in the late night reflections where you refine your own character, not for an audience, but for yourself. It happens in your patience. It happens in the way you choose to respond instead of reacting. It happens in the words you bite back, the arguments you walk away from, the pain you process without needing to broadcast it. There is a profound an intimidating power in a person who no longer needs to be loud. It's a power that is rooted, unshakable. It doesn't rise with praise or fall with criticism. It is not dependent on being understood. It simply exists. Like a mountain that is indifferent to the weather, like the deep ocean that is unmoved by the chaos on its surface. The one who holds a powerful truth and chooses silence is not being selfish. They are honoring the sacredness of what they have earned, because that is what real wisdom is. It is earned through experience, through failure, through difficult choices, and through quiet, relentless perseverance. And the deeper the truth, the less you want to speak of it casually. Not because you are hiding it, but because you respect its weight. You understand that it's not a party trick. It's a transformative force. And before it can ever hope to transform others, it must first be allowed to fully transform you. So you carry it inside you. You let it dissolve your anger. You let it clarify your purpose. You let it silence your ego. And you let it guide you like an internal compass that is true even in a world full of lies. You no longer search outside yourself for direction, because you have learned to hear the answers in the silence within. And in that silence, you find a peace that is not dependent on circumstances. It's a peace that comes from no longer needing to control everything. A peace that remains steady even when you are misunderstood or challenged. You don't engage in fights to prove your worth because your energy is now too precious to waste. Your time is sacred. Your inner state is not for sale. You don't give it away for the cheap thrill of being right. This is when your life begins to fundamentally shift, not because the world around you changes, but because you have. And your internal change, though quiet, creates an undeniable ripple effect. You walk with a different gravity. You speak with a different resonance. You make decisions from a place of deep knowing, not shallow need. You guard your energy fiercely, and you protect your silence like a fortress. You don't let the world's noise pollute your heart. You have become still, and in your stillness, you are a force. People will feel this long before they ever understand it. They won't know why they feel calm in your presence, why your few words carry so much weight, why your lack of reaction feels like a safe harbor. It's because you have done the work that most people avoid. You have gone inward. You have sat in the silence long enough to know that not everything needs to be said. Not every truth requires a witness. Some discoveries are meant only for you. So when the world tries to pull you back into its drama, when it tempts you with the promise of recognition or the bait of an argument, remember who you are now. You are not here to be loud. You are here to be clear. You are here to be anchored. You are here to be real. And sometimes the most real, most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Let your life be the only proof necessary. Let your actions be the only sermon given. Let your silence teach with more authority than your voice ever could. That is how you command respect without demanding it. That is how you create change without force. That is how you protect your power and continue to grow undisturbed. Because once you've found the real secret, once you've tasted the kind of inner peace that can't be bought or broken, you understand exactly why it must be guarded, not from others, but for yourself, so it can continue its quiet, profound, and miraculous work inside of you. In a world obsessed with being heard, choose the discipline of listening. In a world addicted to performance, choose the courage of stillness. And in a world desperate for attention, choose the quiet path of becoming so powerful that they feel you long before they hear you.